Hello, everybody. So my name is Mika, and I'm going to be hanging out with you all for the next hour or so. I also have Robin on here. We'll go ahead and introduce ourselves, but obviously today is Black Love Day. We are spending this day to celebrate loving ourselves, healing ourselves, all of that good stuff. So we've been highlighting different organizations. Today is really a big kickoff for our Healing Fund. I don't know if many people are aware of it, but there's a lot of things that Black Lives Matter does. One of the things that we have begun to kick off is the Black Femme Healing Fund. We recognize just like the weight of the world is so heavy. There's a lot going on, and us as Black femmes, it's a lot sometimes, and we need to get into the habit of putting ourselves first and healing ourselves and healing each other. So that's what this fund is for. Um, we have the healing team with Black Lives Matter. We have a trauma response crisis team. So we are officially trying to raise funds. Links there. We're trying to raise funds so that we can help with this effort. This includes doing therapy or covering therapy services, covering case management services, massages, just anything that people need in order to care for themselves because we deserve it. As much as we do, we deserve it. So today, I do have Robin from Zora's Cradle. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And you all are going to be so pumped when you hear about all of the stuff that they have in mind. So I'll go ahead. Again, I'm Mika. I go by she, her. Where I live, I'm in Louisville. The work I do a little bit of everything, honestly. Um, Therapy, teaching, just a little bit of everything, really. And for our icebreaker, I'm going to hijack someone else's idea, which is what's something that a grandparent has told you that stuck with you. And for me, my grandmother, the reason I'm hijacking this is because, yeah, it's a little personal. I just lost her recently, and there are so many things that she has given me that have stuck with me and will always stick with me. And one big thing that she has always said is, whether you can, well, if you think you can or you can't, you're right. And so I try to go into everything with that mindset that if I think I can do it, I'm going to be able to do it. And she also always reminded me, your word is all you have. So say something, stick with it. And that's always going to be with me, like forever. So I'm going to go ahead and let Robin introduce herself and just share whatever you want to share.
Hey everyone, my name is Robin, and I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, and my pronouns are she and her. And like Mika, I'm kind of out here in these streets doing a little bit of everything. But the main thing that I do, I'm an educator. I'm a assistant professor of human services at a local community college in our region. And I also do part-time mental health therapy, where majority of my focus is on working with people of African descent. I work with everyone, but it just so happens majority of the clients that I work with are of African descent throughout the diaspora. Um, and so one of the things, advice that I have gotten, I've always joked over the years, I'm an old soul. A lot of my best friends I'm 41. So a lot of my best friends are like 30 plus years older than me. I love our elders. I love the wisdom. And so some of the things, advice that I got from my grandmother, um, my maternal grandmother, was to always focus on, my education. She had a sixth grade education, and it was one of those things where she had to work for the family, and that's one of the things that has always stuck out to me since I was a little girl, was the importance of of education, as well as educating others. And so that's just something I like to impart to everyone. Education looks different for all of us, but it is something that we always should make sure we try to do, is be mindful of our education that we have. And that's all I have. I'm sorry, I had to plug up my computer.
Oh, it's okay. Well,
I'm
now
sorry.
that's, oh, you're fine. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're okay. And that's definitely some good advice. I guess I can kind of relate to that. I know my family always kind of instilled that as well because, like you said, a lot of our ancestors, our elders, they didn't get those opportunities. Sixth grade, seventh grade education was about as far as it went. So yeah, I think that I can relate to that. So here we are, being their
Mm-hmm.
dream.
Yeah.
So all right, so I guess we'll go ahead and dive into information about Zora's Cradle, which this is a new organization. So yeah, everyone, like, you're just going to be amazed by the vision that they have. So I'm going to let you, I guess, um, just share some information. What would you say is like, what's it about? What's the purpose? How would you describe that to everybody?
Well, Zora's Cradle is the brainchild of Shamika Hobson Whiteside. She's a fellow social worker, colleague, friend. And so it came about with an experience. And this is not my story, so I'm going to be very careful and respectful because it's not my narrative. But I resonated with me so much. But Shamika experienced a very interesting situation when she was trying to receive maternity health assistance when she was pregnant. And she went and stayed at a maternity home that's in Louisville, Kentucky. And the place that she, and it's ironic because the time she was staying at this place, I was actually living in that particular neighborhood. And I never, I had discovered this maternity home, didn't really know nothing about it. My old apartment came up to the backyard of it. And so I knew it was there, just never knew nothing about it until till Shamika started telling me this story. And I was like, wait a minute, is that located in such and such place? And she was like, yeah. Well, in this particular area, it's mixed income, very affluent. And I said, wow, I was just curious about the racial makeup and all these different things. So when she was telling me about her experience there, it's horrible coming into a situation as a black woman into a place where no one there looks like you. People are coming from a very religious viewpoint. So I'll say, I'm not saying that, Shamika by any means is anti-religious, but one of the things that we have to understand when people are seeking help, it shouldn't be on the premise of you have to attend Bible study every Wednesday and you have to, you know, um, think a certain way. Most people will go along with it because they need help. So it was just that experience that she had. It was not the best experience. Um, it this the sad thing, and I say this, like I said, it's not my story, but she ended up having a miscarriage, you know, and so that experience that she had, and she was in school. I think she was working on her master's degree. Really, I mean, it really just shaped how she approaches and looks at everything, especially in social work, because no woman um, coming to any organization in their most vulnerable time, a most stressful time, and you are trying to take care of another human being should have to be um, in that type of stressful situation because the people who's running the operation is not culturally competent, feed into some of the myths about black people and pain, thinking that we are just over exaggerating certain things, um, and not just being understanding just because someone may be pregnant and they're not married, their own stereotypes. So there was a lot of things that played into this. So about 3 years ago, um, Shamika I think just with research and just the work she does, she said, I really want to open up a maternity home. And so she told a few of us, and we were like, okay. And she, shared, her story, and not just her story, but other things she witnessed and just seen and just throughout, where she was like, this is definitely something that we need in our community, that comes from a secular base, that has clinicians that are culturally competent, and not just social work clinicians, but also birth worker clinicians who are open minded to people who um, may want to have, at home birth, being open to having doulas. One of the things people don't realize is that, women have been taken out of out of women's health. We have been removed, and not saying there are not any great men, OBGYNs, and anything like that, but let's just put it in perspective. If I have cramps, if I'm having a horrible period, even if another woman can't relate to those type of symptoms, you can relate to having a freaking period. And so that's kind of where um, part of what we're doing is also bringing these women. When you look at some of our families who may have been from the deep south, or just smaller communities, or just international people from different from the Caribbean, from Burundi to Ghana, whatever, women are still involved in the birthing process. And so that's what the other part that we're wanting to bring to this is that we also want to bring the women back. We need the women back in this process. So that's how it came about. And we're brand new. So did you have, like, I can keep going, if you want me. I don't know if you had.
Well, I mean, of course, I have a few questions, but I just figured I would let you go because, I mean, I would let you go with it because
Okay.
you, you know the vision. And I mean, I know when I first read the website, I was just amazed. Like you said, we do need to bring women back into the process, and we have been removed from that in this part of, the civilization. And it's wild when you think about it, but it's also kind of to be expected where we live, when it comes
Mm-hmm.
to legislation and everything, when it comes to anything that has to do with our bodies, medical, it's usually not really up to us. We're not the ones making the decision. And I think it's so awesome that you all had this vision to put us back in the process,
Mm-hmm.
put us, included in this, because like you said, obviously there are some very good male practitioners, but when it comes to certain things, you're not gonna totally understand unless you can relate. And so it's just kind of baffling that we've been so removed from a lot of the things that have to do with our bodies. Um, that's a whole discussion in itself. I know when it comes to just medical care in general, one of the things that I really liked is that you all do have, not only just the therapists, but you're bringing in doulas and birth workers and things like that, because I hear so many horror stories about what childbirth and pregnancy looks like for women of color, specifically Black women, in relation to, or in comparison to other women. Our risk of dying is 3 to 4 times higher than anybody else. And I think that goes back to what you were speaking about as far as the myths that people kind of buy into, as far as when you talk about pain. And I know some people would say that it's more like a class issue, but I don't know if you remember the Serena Williams situation. So it has nothing to do with money. Like a lot of there is some implicit bias that happens when it comes to the care that we get while we are pregnant or delivering, and that definitely has to be addressed.
Exactly, and that's where the beautiful thing with Zora's Cradle. And when I tell people, like, since we're dealing with babies, as from an organizational standpoint, we are probably like formally about 3 months old at this point. But we're on an accelerated growth plan for the organization. But that's one of the key things where we are being super intentional in everything that we're wanting to do, in terms of let's identify other medical practitioners in our area who deals with women's health that we can bring on. So we've reached out. We've reached out and are reaching out to different people that we're identifying. We are also paying close attention to like the Louisville Metro Department of Health and Wellness equity report that comes out. I don't think the newest report that's came out. I think the last one was 2017. I think the last time I went to the website. But even going back and looking at that data from 2014 and then the most recent health equity and working with the Healthy Start program and different things, there's a lot of data out here with the hospitals and our public schools of public health that speaks to Black women's health outcomes. And we do get into trying to understand the social determinants that's impacting that. And one of the things that we have to look at is, we have to also look at the role of how racial trauma plays into a person's health, and how, I've had colleagues, I was telling Shamika this last night. I had a colleague who was a professor at a local college in Kentucky. She was pregnant. She had complications with her pregnancy and died. And we were preparing for a conference that year, and it was in April. I think it was 2014 or 2015. It was so traumatic. Like, I have not revisited that because I had met this sister like a year before, and she was like up and coming. Like, she was like the person to be seen as Black, academicians. So, and she had just got into this great leadership role. So we're like, oh man, she's on it, and we're like, she's about to have this baby, and she's about to bounce back, and everything's great. And when we found out that there was complications, and then she died, this sister was mid-30s. Um, from looking, she always looked fine to me. Wasn't, not overweight, didn't present. But that's the thing, we don't know. We do not know what's going on with folks. And that's why it's very important. We have aspects of preeclampsia, what have blood pressure. There's so many things that go into it. And the other part of the work we're wanting to do is, as we're getting these women in the place, is providing education. And then I can speak to like what the programs and what the process looks like, because we have a lot going on, but it's holistic, and it makes sense, but it's holistic.
Mhm. Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
So the way, in general, how it's going to process is that we are working with different community partners who works with um, women in different capacities. And so once we are notified that there is a woman, an expected mother, who is in need of our residential services, we will go through the intake process. Um, there's different paperwork. We will be taking women in right at the 12th week of so towards the end of the first trimester. And part of that is not saying that we're not going to help women right up until then, but when you're dealing with limited resources and different things, like, we have to make sure we have enough resources and the capacity to do so. And so the women will come in, they get processed, and then at that point, they will be there up until postpartum, until they have the baby. And right now, like I said, when I tell you it's brand new, we are still kind of ironing out that time frame. Because part of that is that it's not that once you have the baby, we're like, you gotta go. Our main thing is that we want to make sure that we are transitioning people to the next step, for them to be successful. So part of that is looking like where we're looking at now is, and talking with some different our community partners and researchers, like, what is this time frame? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? We're thinking perhaps maybe 6 months could be that good time where 6 months postpartum person transitioning. So those are some of the little things that we are kind of defining right now. But that's the plan. Postpartum, they'll transition into their own apartment. Whether that's something that whether it's one of the apartments that we have through our community partners or something that we've just found on their own. The other part of this postpartum transition is employment, school. So these are some of the things that we're going to be working with the women while they're there, and we know that they're healthy to do so. So it's very much we're going to be getting them connected to, are there skills that you want to learn? If it's feasible, depending on like when semesters start, we may have some that may be interested in going to school. So that's definitely something from the academic side. From the workforce ready side, that's another thing we're going to be working on, is helping, maybe teach some workforce readiness skills or different things. So these are things that is going to go on through the duration of while the women are with us. Then the other part, so that's the kind of the academic professional side. The other part is we're going to have parenting classes. We want to make sure as soon as we get the women in our facility and we get everybody, we know things feeling great, health, mentally and physically, then we want to go ahead and get into those social aspects. What is parenting to you? How are you parent? How do you look at that? So we are going to be doing some really, from a counseling standpoint, we're going to be doing a lot of work because we need to understand, what perceptions are you bringing into this? What are some of the generational curses that you have from your family that you don't want to bring into this current family? So we'll have parenting classes. We're going to do some things around health and wellness, because that's another thing that's important. What are we putting into our body? And especially when we're, when we're with a child, a lot of people do not realize that some of the things that we're putting into our body is just not good for our developing child. So we'll have some nutritionists and discussions around, limiting caffeine and smoking, and then aside from that, just talking about how do we create a healthy womb? How do we create peace? What's going on outside the womb to make sure it's not impacting our little one that's like, what in the world is going on? Do I really want to come out? It sounds chaotic. So these are, I might just stay in
Right.
here because it sounds a little crazy out there. So we're wanting to just help create this really great educational path for moms. And then not just that, it's like I said, it's the counseling component we have. We're going to help build social support. That's another thing people don't realize, is that, social support is huge when you're expecting. And if you're coming from a situation where you have limited social support and everyone around you is doing what you don't want, eventually you're going to succumb to that. So part of this is that, we're creating space. And so this is for some of the women that's residential. Now, we got a whole other side of the house that's for our non-residential folks, because we don't have the space. If we have, say, mom A, she's pregnant, but she already has a 3-year-old. So we're being realistic. Okay, we know we don't have the space yet because, we're still starting out. Eventually we will, but not right now. So our plan B is we have community partners that we're working with. So if we find out that mom A needs residential, wants our services, but we can't accommodate because what we will have vouchers with different, with a housing agency or other property owners in the city and it's so crazy because as we're telling people about this stuff, people are like, list me. I have a property over here, I have a property over there, I rent, keep me listed. We can work with you. So that's the beauty that's coming out of this. So we'll be able to help get maybe some of these parents into housing
Mhm.
And then because they already have a child, but then we will still provide them the same services. They're just not residential. So that's the good thing, is that I think what's so unique about our program is that we know we're going to have those that I'll probably say that's in more crisis.
Mhm.
So let me say that we'll probably have more that's in crisis that absolutely need that residential component. Then we'll have some that may already have housing, or they can qualify for one of our vouchers, and then we're able to still provide them all the resources, and or they can come to the facility and still participate.
Wow. Yeah,
There's
like
more. There's so much. We got a lot. We got a lot going on.
I mean, but that's so beautiful. Like you said, it's really holistic, and obviously I'm not familiar with everything that we have going on in Louisville as far as organizations, but I cannot say that I've heard of anything like this before, ever, as far as Louisville goes. I mean, so
And
this is huge.
to add to that, Mika, is that we okay. So this is where, and this is not me, this is me speaking, Robin, just Robin, not on behalf of anybody's group. This is just me. So let me say that. So don't be like Zora's crazy. Nope, this is Robin. But from my perspective, I think we have to be very intentional when we are talking about what we're providing for women, and then when we get into women of color, then I'm also very like, what women of color? Black women.
That part.
We have to be very specific. And so that's what, so one of the things is, sometimes when you talk to people about different things you're doing, it's, well, oh, are you leaving out this group or that group? No, we're not leaving Zora's. Now I'm back to Zora's Cradle. Zora's Cradle is not leaving out any group, but from anything. And for those who's in social work, public health people, when we're looking at the evidence, and when we're going through looking and studying the health disparities and inequities, we have to follow the data. We also have to follow, how are the households made up in this group? What are we seeing? So when we're looking at, the role of Black women, and then when we're looking at the role of Black families, because we also have to the story I shared earlier about the young sister who died. She was married. And so we have a situation where we have a father left, a husband, widowed, a child motherless, because of what we're talking about now, Black maternal health. There's another national story of another man, Black man, went through the same thing with his wife. Yes, and this has been, really highlighting a lot of things. They thought everything was going okay, but again, she was having some of the similar things a lot of us may have. And here we have another Black man whose wife is gone, and a child without it. So it's not so much where it's excluding anyone. What we're saying is we need to figure out what's going on, raise awareness, teach within our community, so we can save, because there's two lives here, the mother and the baby.
Mhm.
And there are some instances where it may have to, sadly, the baby may not make it, and the mom, or vice versa, or both. And nobody wants that. And a lot of times we don't want to talk about it, because who wants to talk about this? But it's real life. This is what people are dealing. This is what people are dealing with. There are so many Black women who suffer in silence from having miscarriages and just different things. And the thing is, we really have to sit down and see, what else is going on within this woman's body. What else is occurring. And so that's the good thing with what we're bringing to the city, is that we're not coming from a uh, this particular religious standpoint, not knocking religion. So again, we're not saying that, but what we're saying is that we still are going to have, a spiritual component, and that's for everyone, whatever your spiritual path is. We want to encourage that, because we know from a therapeutic standpoint, people who connect to something, whatever their spiritual path is, that does some really great things and powerful things for the healing process. So we want to encourage that, but we don't want to sit over here again and be like, you got to be up at 9 o'clock in a full dress on Sunday doing this. If you want to, that is strictly your prerogative. We will take you to whatever the congregation you want to go to. But it's also your prerogative if you want to sit over here facing the window looking at the sun and do 3 sun salutations and yoga and listen to Tupac. Hey, do what you do. If that's what works, it works for me. And that's the ownership and agency that we're wanting to put back into this, where we are trying to where we are being inclusive to that, and we're not putting those constraints around that, because it's not fair to people. um I've worked with women before who needed to go through some of these different agencies. I remember I worked with a Muslim student when I was at JCTC several years ago, when I worked there full time, and we were trying to get her connected to a place that helped mothers, and the place was a Christian base. She's a devout Muslim. She was a Somali sister. And I remember I talked to those folks on the phone, very nice women, and I said, does she have to participate in this? I said, because she's Muslim. I said, will she be able to go, to, her masjid, all these different things? Well, we don't know. We really like, she can participate, but we really like for all the women to participate. Why? If she's following every other rule, why does her spiritual practice why do you have to infringe on that? Because that right there is traumatizing. And then the last thing, you all, real quick, and then I'll hush and Mika can keep asking questions. This is something that when Shamika first told me about this, the first question I asked was, what is the role of the father for women coming to our facility that need help, but maybe they're also in a relationship and they want to maintain the family? What role do we play in that? Because that was the kicker on my involvement. And the discussion was, and if you all know Shamika, you would understand how she was like, shoot, we can do that too. And it just cracked me up so bad, because she's like, we can roll with it all. And so that's what really made me be like, this is what I want to be a part of, because that's important too. If a person is coming here, a woman, expected mother is coming to the facility, and we asked, are you single, married, whatever, and she identified, she has she's in a relationship, and then we ask a little further, are you all, is it still a viable, active, great, relationship? Yes, but these are the things going on. He may need help with XYZ. I need this, but we want to make it work. And historically, the way some organizations has worked is like, well, you can get yours. That's nice with him, but we're going to do all this for you. But the dad's over here needing help. So the other part that we're looking, and this is stages that we're looking into cultivate too, is also partnering and identifying other men, fathers, other men in the community that can also help in that role. So when we have these situations where we see people that are like, we do want to stay together, we want to be a family, that's the goal. We want to be able to say, then here's how we can help. Here's how we can help preserve the family, help you be a successful family, and get both of you all connected to those other things, that academic and workforce piece, to support the baby, and to support each other. So I think that's another interesting thing with our organization, is including the whole family.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. I'm shocked, because like you said, historically that's not been the case. It's not been the case. It's not been anything that I've seen before. And it goes back to, like you said, the child. You have to take care of both, especially if they both do intend to try to co-parent and make something work. A lot of times, yeah, that doesn't happen. You have so many places where it is just services for one side but not the other, and that adds a whole different layer to the onion of the aspect of parenting. So, I mean, again, taking care of the men as well also helps us. It helps us as, Black Femmes. It helps us if they're doing well as well. So
Exactly.
that's dope as I don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody, like I said, y'all were going to be amazed by this organization. I mean, like Robin mentioned, it's very new, but already like there's so many huge things and the vision is just beautiful. So
Our
I'm just going to say,
open date, our open date, we're going for August 1st. There are so many ways to get involved. Definitely visit our website at zorascradle.org. There are many ways to get involved. I am the board president, so we will have many opportunities if people want to be involved with some of our committees. We have properties that we're getting ready. So there's so many ways the community can be involved. No skill is useless because we don't know what we need, but we know we need it all. So definitely reach out to us, sign up for our newsletter. And another thing, for those who are definitely part of the blurred community, Black nerd community like myself, research and data, that is definitely something that's going to be the other leg of what we'll be needing and we're kind of working on. So if we have any of you all that's definitely, from that side of the house with research and like to dig into the data, definitely reach out to us because that's going to be part of the larger um, community piece. And we're also last part, like I said, working with women of color. So we do have a component where we're working with um, a community partner where we're working with a lot of Latinx women as well. And not just that, but then we also have our international immigrant and refugee community. So we're going to have a lot of folks coming from a lot of different um, spheres, but we are confident with the diversity of our board. Our board is very diverse, and because we want to make sure we're reflect families that come to us see that diversity within us. So definitely check out the website. Donations. There's if you have large item donations that's in pretty good shape. Um, definitely, send us an email, let us know. Because like I said, we do have properties that we are getting ready as well.
okay. And you all see the link below. That's where you can donate. That's the website to get more information. And like Robin mentioned, there are so many volunteer opportunities. So basically, if they go to zorascradle.org, that's where they can find the donation link. That's where they can contact you all to volunteer or get on a committee. Like that's the spot to go, basically.
That's the spot to go. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I mean, as far as the questions that I had, I mean, you pretty much covered everything as far as what you all have going on and how it came about and how they can get involved, how they can help. So I mean, like I said, this is just a beautiful vision, and I'm so happy to see something like this come to Kentucky, come to Louisville, and I will not be surprised if this just grows like phenomenally. Like
Yeah,
this
there's
is beautiful.
people are trying to grow it now, and I'm like, dude, we are 3 months. Like, you know,
Right,
give
like
us
slow
about
down.
because something like this, when you want to do it right,
Yes.
and that's the sentiment with all of us. We don't want nothing raggedy because we've seen,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna make it plain. There's some raggedy stuff out here
Yeah.
that keeps getting funded. I mean,
Yeah.
and we help because we know people need help. But I'm just saying we have an opportunity not to be, fall into one of these categories because that how does it really help long term? So we have a timeline and we know the need is great,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it's like we don't want to be in that situation where the road to hell is paved in good intentions. we want to be, our intentions lead us to Emerald City.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
where we want to be. So, but thank you for this opportunity. And as we're moving along, we would definitely love to come back and share our research data, how it intersects with definitely the work with the different scopes that Black Lives Matter is doing, because this is a huge portion of that,
Exactly. Yes. I mean, well, thank you. I know you've got things to do, but thank you for coming on and just sharing all this information. Like it's like I said, it's a beautiful vision, and I'm just so pumped that we have this here, and I'm so glad that everyone has been able to know about this because yes, it is a new organization, so a lot of people might not have heard about it. So
we're on
I guess
Facebook too.
I was about to say the same thing. I was going to say look on Facebook and click a like. That way they can stay up to date as well there. So yes, they are on Facebook. So if you are tuned in, go ahead and find that page, Zora's Cradle. Go ahead and follow, support, share things. I mean, it's, we got y'all. So
Awesome.
we're right there with you. Thank you for coming on and giving us some time from your day.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Well, then
Take
I'll
care,
go
you
ahead and
all.
let you go.
Okay. Bye, you all.
Bye. So, yes, like I said, I told you all before we got started into everything that you all were going to be just amazed by this organization. I mean, it's beautiful. So we've went over that, and as we were speaking on, just the different disparities that go on in healthcare, those disparities really relate to all aspects of healthcare, not just medical, but even mental health, all of that. And so that's another reason we are doing today is, the Day of Healing, because we need to learn to take care of ourselves. All of it ties together. It's all holistic. So for the next few minutes, I figured I would share one of my own self-care activities. I am by far not a professional, but it's good to find a hobby that you enjoy doing that brings you peace, clears your head. For me, I love to do crafts. I love to do art. I'm not a pro, but I do okay. So I figured we would just paint something. You can paint whatever you want to paint. I actually would suggest Pinterest is one of my favorite apps that I have on my phone because you can find anything. I literally found a small picture that even I could draw, which means you all can too. It's very small. I don't know if you all can even see it. Yeah, I just looked at it, drew it, and I'm about to paint it. And we're just going to talk about self-care and the importance of it. And then once we're done, we're going all night. So be ready for the next one because you'll be blown away again. And we have so many amazing people today. So like I said, I'm not a professional. But that's the thing about self-care. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be a pro at art. You don't have to be a pro at dancing, singing, anything. It's just whatever makes you feel good. A lot of times you'll see people talk about self-care and they mention, massages and spas, and let's be all the way real. Not all of us can do that. There's limited access to certain things. So self-care looks different for different people. So this is mine. I'm pouring out my paint right now. But while I'm pouring this, I will just go ahead and talk more about the disparities. We know there's the implicit bias that goes on, but also, just there's socioeconomic disparities that play a role. You have issues when it comes to the access to care, access to treatment, of course, just living in America, being someone of color, specifically, being Black. There's different stress levels as well that influence not only us physically, but mentally, emotionally. Like there's so much that goes on that all plays a role in, the us being 3 to 4 times more likely to die from certain things. And that's why us healing is so important, and us taking care of ourselves, taking care of each other, because really we're all we got. So that's what was so important about today. So I'm going to go ahead and paint a little thing. I'm see if I can show what I'm painting. Like I said, I'm not a pro, so don't judge me. But it's just important to find what you like to do. I guess I can't really show, or maybe I can. I can do it this way. For me, this is a big thing. Art and movement is another thing. I like to either dance, do yoga, just any movement really. And it seems small, but it really is important when you think about it, because we all need that release. Otherwise, again, everything is tied together. So if you're not taking care of yourself, that also plays a role in your physical health. You know, high blood pressure, we are pretty notorious for that. And yeah, some of it might have to do with our diet. I know Robin mentioned, you know, what are you putting in your body? Yes, we have to be mindful of that. But then also stress raises your blood pressure. And like I mentioned, hey, we're Black in America. We're Black and we're femme and we're in America. So that's stressful enough in itself. I don't even have to go into all of that. So that's why this is so important. And that's why this fund is so important. So the link has been shown quite a few times on how to donate to the Healing Fund. And like I mentioned, it's really to help with a lot of things. I mean, whether it's helping someone get access to mental health treatment, or even, I guess, just keep that in mind, even just other alternative treatments. You know, yes, we can help with therapy, but we also can help with, you know, alternate forms of healing. So yoga, Reiki, massages, you know, so many different things. And that's what the fund is there for, so that we can continue to help take care of ourselves and each other. So certainly check out the link. Anything you can give is greatly appreciated, whether, you know, a couple dollars, that's fine. Just anything just to help us make sure that we're taking care of each other. Obviously, we are based out of Louisville, and I'm sure everyone knows the climate that we currently have going on here. Never been, you know, totally the best, but it's been heightened. And so now is even more of an important time to make sure that we're taking care of each other. So anything you can give would be helpful, or even if you're someone who can actually help give time. If you have a service that you're willing to give to help, you know, if you are a massage therapist who can link with us, hey, contact us. You know, it's just all about healing, all about taking care of ourselves. Like I mentioned when we were talking with Robin, as far as the birth disparities and pregnancy disparities, you know, some people will say it's about money, but it's not. You know, we mentioned the whole thing with Serena Williams. We have seen countless stories. Robin highlighted a few of them. Countless stories of where, you know, we are saying that we are in pain. We are saying that something's wrong, and nobody is listening. Nobody's listening. And so then you end up with Black Femmes either ending up suffering or worse. And that's just not okay. That's just not okay. So I think that's the beauty of Zora's Cradle, is that they are being holistic. They're not only focusing on the medical and the physical, but helping with the other aspects. Like I said, the access to care, the educational piece, all of that. So definitely hit their website up as well. and give whatever you can. Like she mentioned, there's committees that you can play a role in if you choose to. You can donate financially. You can even donate items. A lot of that is huge and very helpful. Well, we're talking while trying to paint like I'm someone's professional. And I think the other beauty of Zora's Cradle is the fact that they are partially, residential. They have the residential facility, so that also helps with the access to care. As we know, in certain parts, a lot of the parts that we are predominantly in, certain things are just not available to us. And transportation can be a barrier. Finding providers can be a barrier. Insurance is a barrier. There's so many things. And I know she mentioned a lot of the different services that they have. If you go to their website, I did notice not only was there the medical and the therapy, but case managers. That's also available through them. So really, like everything. All right, so I'm going to really try to put a little pizzazz on here, like I'm famous artist, putting little wavy lines. That's one good thing about, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're a professional or not. It's just a matter of what makes you feel good. And that's one of the things I like about doing crafts is that you really just get to kind of space out and just do whatever. Like, I really feel like I know what I'm doing. And tapping into that creative side is just a good feeling. Even if painting is not your thing, like I said, movement. I know a lot of people like being in nature. It's just important to find what you like and to do it regularly. That's the key part, doing it regularly. So I'm already like almost done. Like I said, this is a small one. Had to try to keep it a little simple. Let's see, I think I'm gonna do just the outline here. And I apologize if you all hear some screaming. Unfortunately, that's what happens when kids are running around. Let's see. But yes, our link, again, it's been shown quite a few times. And it'll be shown even later because we're doing this all day. So check that out. There it is, scrolling at the bottom. Like I said, we go through so much. We deserve to heal. We deserve to heal. And it's pretty much on us to make sure that we help each other do so. And like I said, this is something I literally just went in to Pinterest and just said, easy DIY art, and found this small little drawing. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I like this. So you literally can find anything. And maybe, it might not be a picture. Well, with us being focused on Black Femmes, that's why I picked, a feminine picture. Picture of someone who is portraying that. But you can find nature, you can find abstract stuff. You really can find anything. Pinterest is just like Google. Anything you want to find, you can find it. And like I said, if I can draw this, anybody can. And I have to admit, this is really relaxing. Let's see. I think we're gonna put some just more red, really. I think that's all I'm gonna do. Black and red. I done mixed some of the black with the red. Didn't mean to, but hey. Like I said, nothing has to be perfect. It's just all about the relaxation, which this is. Let's see here. So again, you see the link at the bottom. Definitely find Zora's Cradle on Facebook. To stay up to date with them. It's pretty simple. And as I mentioned, you all are just really going to be blown away by all of the rest of the things planned for today. I mean, it's just a full day of healing. Full day of efforts to support and just helping each other out. So definitely stick with us and keep tuning in. And if you see that there's any way that you would like to try to fit in with something, hey, definitely let us know. We're all in this together, so. Let's see here. I'm just going to give her some glasses. I don't know. I don't know how they painted theirs. I just took the sketch. I don't remember exactly what they did. I kind of... I kind of just like it like that, really.
Oh.
Maybe put...
Oh. What happened? What's the crazy? That's cool.
Yeah. I like it like that. Hey, go upstairs, buddy. Somebody snuck down. Okay. I think I like it just like that. Yeah, I think I like it like that. So, well, someone has snuck down, but I got an applause on my picture, so I guess that counts for something. He's totally not supposed to be down here. Thank you. But yes, very simple. So yeah, I mean, that's really all that I have. Again, like I said, check our link. Check out Zora's Cradle. And, even aside from that, I would just encourage everybody to share the information that was put out today, not just about the organization, but the information about the disparities, because it is something that a lot of people are not aware of. I cannot count how many times I have been in conversations, and when it's brought up, people are shocked to hear that it's, that the disparity is that great. So even just share that information, put that out there so that we can raise more awareness to what Black Femmes are going through, because that's the first key as well, is heightening that awareness so that we can see just how important it is for us to address this, help us heal each other, help us support each other, help us advocate for each other, care for each other, and just love on one another. Like that's what we got to do. So that's it for me. I think we do have our next one's coming up, so stay tuned. I'm sure you'll get a notification when it comes up. And that's it. Again, I'm Mika, and thanks for hanging out with me. Bye, everybody.
Yeah. Big love.